final owner, Mr. Dumont. This slave would later be known as Sojourn Truth. While living with Mr. Dumont, Isabella bore 5 children, although whether with Dumont himself or another slave is under speculation. When it became known to Isabella that slavery would soon be abolished in the state of New York, her owner vowed to her that he would set her free a year prior to the enactment of the law if she continued to do her work. However, when the time came, he went back on his word. Isabella had grown to trust Mr. Dumont wholeheartedly as he had explained to her that it was God's will for her to be a slave. His breaking of her trust brought her closer to her religion and gave her the strength to leave his home with her youngest child. She found a family to buy her freedom, and having become free, she asked God to give her a name to represent her newfound independence. He gave her the name Sojourner because she was to travel the country telling stories of her life as a slave and how her religion had helped her. She gave herself a last name because all the free men she had encountered had them. The name she gave herself was Truth.
In darkness of morning, to Jesus I pray, to help me to pray, and He and me there.
After living in New York City for some time and spreading the word of her religion and time as a slave, Truth was recommended by some of her supporters to visit Northampton, Massachusetts. They asked her to join a utopian society that focused on equality and freedom. The utopian society was called the Northampton Association of Education and Industry, or the NAEI. It was located in a part of Northampton that would soon become Florence, Massachusetts. A group of men from Connecticut who opposed slavery moved to the town and took on the debt of a silk factory that had gone bankrupt. They chose this industry because it required no slave labor. Within this factory, they devoted the top 2 floors to be living quarters for those involved in the association. Truth made the journey there and was invited to spend the night with the NAEI. Although the living quarters were quaint and uncomfortable, Truth recalled that the atmosphere allowed her to feel truly free for the first time, and so she decided to stay.
Reformation that slavery was terrible, but then it's also about the best people in life, in the world, and she could be very eloquent on that subject. But she also found her voice as a woman. So this is the very beginning, the life in Florence. She was here for 13 years. In the beginning, when she realized that her position as a woman was as fraught with difficulty as being a slave.
Truth's involvement in the NAEI kick-started her life as a civil and women's rights activist. The support she gained from her community in Florence inspired her to not only travel giving speeches about equality and freedom, but also to dictate her biography. She brought copies of her biography with her everywhere she traveled and sold them to the people who came to hear her speak for 25 cents apiece. She saved every quarter she made in order to pay for her home in Florence.
And this is a man named Samuel Hill, who was one of the people that took that over, eventually said to her, I think he and others, they were working for you, and they really liked her, I'm sure. She had a wicked sense of humor, and she was becoming very well known in New York and London as a teacher. So he said to her, Sojourn, I'm going to give you a house. And she said, no. I said, no house. I want to give you a mortgage. She's so strong. You want to give me a loan and a mortgage? We'll do that. So he built the house that was in.
During her time spent in Northampton, Truth met many other influential abolitionists. Among them were William Lloyd Garrison and David Ruggles, but by far the most interesting is the relationship she developed with fellow former slave Frederick Douglass.
He had taught himself to read and write, and he had learned to dress himself in a rather elegant manner, and that was the way he presented himself, and he defined that he sort of put down Sojourner. She was still a little bit more of a say, working class, let's say, even though she was quite elegant, visit here, and he said that Sojourn Truth, that strange amalgam of womanhood and cleverness, but she attacked Fred verbally a couple of times because he was trying to compromise with some of the anti-slavery stuff and shit like that. So they had this interesting fact a couple of times when they met up. They respected each other, but they also had no problem with, going after each other.
The town of Florence lit a fire under Sojourn Truth, and in turn, Truth lit a fire under the civil rights movement. During her life, she was one of the first African American women to take a white man to court and win. Despite all the hardships she faced in her life, she never strayed from her religion and pacifism. She paid for her own home, selling her biography, and traveled all across the country giving groundbreaking speeches on her own to audiences of thousands. She inspired Harriet Beecher Stowe, author of abolitionist novel Uncle Tom's Cabin, and is rumored to have a character based off of her in one of Stowe's other novels. A quote that has been said about Truth is, "She wore out her life in service to the causes she held dear." The speech she gave that she is best known for, known as Ain't I a Woman, is still referred to as one of the greatest speeches given during the civil rights movement, and is a part of standard curriculum today used to teach children and adults alike of the strengths of the movement and the strengths of Truth herself. Many versions of the speech are circulating today that have altered the speech, both in content and in the accent the speech is given in. However, this is the version of the speech that is recognized as being most historically accurate.
If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down all alone, these women together ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And now that they is asking to do it, the men better let them.
Despite all of her accomplishments, Truth is often passed over by America. Even though she was an important and influential woman who made a great deal of change in her time and still is today, she is often not considered to be one of the greats. Truth spent the remainder of her life, after leaving Florence, living in a similar utopian society in Battle Creek, Michigan. To honor the time she spent there and the differences she was able to make in history, there was a housing project named after her in Detroit. Scholarships are given out to high school students every year in her honor. She holds a place of great importance in American history and may soon have her image on the back of the $10 bill to show for it. Truth should be recognized for her accomplishments and the sheer strength she exhibited in her life. Truth once said, "I am not going to die. I'm going home like a shooting star." And go home like a shooting star she did.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. Glory, glory, hallelujah. As we go marching on, we are coming soldiers moving listen forward. We are back.
Three things that I thought were interesting about Sojourner's early life was that she only spoke Dutch, but she was so smart that she learned English from those who spoke it around her. She was sold 4 times. When her first slave master died, she was sold to John Neely and lived with him for 2 years. In 1808, Neely sold her for $105 to Martinish Shriver, who kept her for 18 months. He sold her in 1810 to John Dummy. John treated her better than the others, but his second wife harassed her and made her life more difficult. about Sojourn Truth. Sojourn Truth was a brave woman who helped many people. She worked hard to free slaves. She fought to free slaves and worked hard to win equal rights for women. This wondrous woman was born in the year 1797. No one really knows what date Sojourner was born. She was given the name Isabella at birth. The word Sojourner means someone who travels. Sojourner Truth chose the name over her original name, Isabella, because she traveled the United States telling of one truth, that all people she traveled are equal and that all people should be free.
Sojourner Truth died November 26, 1883 at her Battle Creek home. The funeral was held at the Congregational Presbyterian Church in the Oak Hill Cemetery. On her tombstone, it says, "Is God dead?" And according to the records, she died when she was 86, although her tombstone said 105. After her death, she had many local memorials, and in 1892, many clubs were established in her name. In 1935, a stone in the History Tower in Monument Park was dedicated to her. At her gravestone, a marker was placed, and it was in memory of her family. In 1987, the State and County Association established a plaque in her former Hall of Justice. And Sojourner Truth Day,
the church should, applaud these pathfinders on the research that they did about Sojourn Truth. For the next couple of minutes, we're going to just have, kind of a discussion. And there's a couple more things that I would like to highlight about Sojourner. A lot of you might be wondering, are we doing Sojourner because it's Black History Month? Yes, but more so we're doing Sojourners because our Pathfinder Club name is Sojourner. We are the travelers. And it was interesting to me when I did the research about some of the things that Sojourner went through. She had faith, lots and lots of faith, because she was sold 4 times. How many of us could live through being sold 4 times in slavery? You're a slave, but you don't know where you're going to wake up tomorrow. Even now, when some of us have to move from one location to another location, it's stressful. But Sojourner had the faith. And Psalms 2:3 says, "Let us break their chains and throw them off." That's exactly what she did. Amen. She broke those chains, she threw them off, and she focused on what was her calling. She taught herself or educated herself speak English in a city where English was the main language. You know, she became very active, very, very active in women's rights, fighting for the rights of women and fighting for emancipation, the freedom of the slaves, and so because she saw what was going on with the slave masters, how they treated slaves, more so how they treated the women. And back in those days, you know, some people might know that the blacks or the black women were used as surrogates, where they would have to nurse the white kid, or the slave master would make kids with them and take the really bright ones, I call them bright, the really white ones, you know, and bring them up as their own. Because, you know, I don't know how much history, you know, some of you might have gone through, but there's a rumor that Abraham Lincoln has black in him. So it's a possibility his mom could have been a slave.
Yes.
But it's still to be proven. But you know, history was twisted to keep us in check.
Yep.
But Sojourner, she focused on having the slaves free. She even went so far, she went to the White House when Abe Lincoln was president and discussed emancipation with him and better rights for the women. You know, these are some of the things, you know, where you could see Sojourner had faith in what she believed in. And then she persevered. She persevered through everything. She went from one slave master who treated her badly to one who treated her not so badly. You know, but she persevered. And in James 1:3 it says, because you know that the testing of faith produces perseverance.
Amen.
So her faith was tested, but she hung in there and she persevered. And those are some of the things that our Pathfinder Club was aptly named Sojourner. Our faith are being tested every single day, but we're persevering.
Yeah.
Just a couple weeks ago, we went to the Bible Bowl. I don't know if everybody knew, but we went to the Bible Bowl, and when we got there, I would not say it was chaos, but for us, it was really, we started, the lowest should be the ground, but I think we were just below the ground level because we didn't know where we were going to field the team from. And our faithful leader, along with the other leaders, we prayed. We prayed really, really hard. I felt the Spirit of God moved among us. We had a 3-man team. And do you know what they did? They got second runner-up. It just goes to show that when your faith is tested and you put God in the middle, everything comes out fine. You know, and with Sojourner's life, after all of these things that she went through, there was victory for her. There was victory for her. She struggled, selling autobiographies for 25 cents, 1 quarter. How many of us even think about surviving on 2,500? You know, we'd say, oh, that's not enough. But she put every dime away, because her main motivation was to help. And she knew her calling so good that she changed her name to Sojourner. Her name was Isabel, but she changed her name to Sojourner because she was the traveling truth. Our club in Fresno is the traveling truth because there's so much of things that we, as a group, could relate to Sojourner. Some of the things that she went through. We're still going through. We lost all our equipment. Thank God we got back more than we had. Amen. We have our Oshkosh coming up. Right now, we're hoping that with the good faith of the congregation, you know, you guys, and we're very, very thankful for all the contributions that you're making to the group, that we could be able to take these kids there so that they could see what it is like being a pathfinder at a camporee. I was in shock when I went there in 2014. When we got there, the opening day was Tuesday. The count on Tuesday was 52,000. 52,000, not only from America. You had from South Korea, South Africa, Zimbabwe, England, the Caribbean. And when I say the Caribbean, you had Puerto Rico, Jamaica, Trinidad. I didn't see any Guyanese there, luckily or unluckily, I don't know, they were not there. Neither were the Bajans, but the Caribbean was well represented. We went one morning over to the Caribbean area and we participated in their morning worship. And they are a fun group, especially Puerto Ricans. And these are some of the things that the kids, you know, that the kids were able to see who were there. So I would like to implore upon parents who have kids that are pathfinder age, please do not keep these kids away from having an experience that would last them a lifetime. I, as an adult, it has made a lasting memory on me. So don't deny these kids. Some of these kids could go to 3, 4 camporees before they age out. But pathfinders never age out. A prime example of that is Sister Mayo. Sister Mayo is a pathfinder for life, regardless of what she's doing. Sister Dawson, Brother Doolin, Sister Doolin, Sister Rupert. God bless her, Sister Rupert. These people have lasting memories. When they sit down to talk to you about pathfindering, it would take days. So give your kids that chance. Give them that chance to have that experience so that they could keep that tradition going. They could have their kids do it and then their kids' kids could do it. Our Pathfinder Club, we do not need you to pay for them to become a part of Pathfinders. Just bring them out every second and fourth Sunday from 10:15 to 1 o'clock. Drop them off, and you have some free time for yourself as a parent. You need that long time. And when you drop them off, there's nothing to be scared of. We're not going to teach them things that they're not supposed to know. We're going to teach them things that are going to make them better persons. And we have prime examples of kids who pass through the Pathfinder system right now, sitting in church. We got Jonathan, David, Jelani, Marquise, Ugana, Chioma. Those are products of Sojourn Pathfinder Club. And I'm happy to say that every time I show up in church, they're here in church and they're participating in all the activities of the church. Just don't let the younger ones grow up just seeing these older ones talking and have a story to tell, and they don't have anything to say. So let the kids come out, you know. You could contact me, Sister Rupert, our leader, Brother Evans, Sister Doyle, and just get them signed up and let's have, you know, let's keep sojourning. It's an honor to be a member of the Sojourner Pathfinder Club. And as we close today, you know, I want to just say a couple of things, you know, that God has been good in all of our lives. And He's continuing to be good to us. It's not every day that you wake up, or it's not every day that you might hear things and see things that you want. But put it this way, when you get up off your bed and you step on the rug and the rug slips and you fall to your knees, there's a purpose for that. God has made it happen because He's sending you a message. You need to get on your knees and pray. But us as human beings, because we have so many things to do, we do not pay attention. You know what I call it? I call it that God is whispering to us. Are we listening? Not all the time. Not all the time. Give the kids a chance so that they can hear that whisper. And that they could do things. Because if you can allow your kid to have a cell phone, to jump into the social media world, why can't you give that kid a chance to jump into Pathfinders and learn about God? It's something that we need to do as parents. It's okay. Yeah, here's the phone. Okay, yeah, you can go on Facebook, you can do this, you can do that. You know, but right here, we have the tools and we have the equipment for them to be better persons. And we need to use it. We need to use it for these kids. And that's what I'm imploring upon you. You know, it's good when somebody else could say it, because sometimes it might not get through to you. If Pastor should say it, or Pastor Fisher should say it. But sometimes when your own peers say things, it hit home faster than when the other persons who are placed to guide you say it. Sometimes you might wonder, oh, my kid, you know, there's a big change in the life of my kid, you know. I don't got to tell them nothing now, they're doing everything. Do you think it's what you said? No. They got it from somebody else. Give them an experience that jolted them out. And then they started doing the right things. You know, so church, I'm imploring upon you. I'm imploring upon the parents. Send your kids. Let them have that experience. Let them have that experience. Yeah. If there's anyone in the congregation that wants to dedicate their life or be a part of the new life in God, you can come forward. We're still going to be praying for you, and we're going to ask God to open up your heart, and we're going to ask God to also open the hearts of the parents to let these kids come. As you can see, we have beautiful Pathfinders. They're all decked out, looking beautiful. So, us pray. Almighty God and Father, we do thank you today to bringing us here so that we can learn some Black history, also how it correlates to our church, and more so how it correlates to our youth. We ask you to bless the youth department. We ask you to bless Ayana with her efforts that she's making to keep this youth department visible and viable in Fresno West Side. We ask you that you bless these youths, keep them doing the right thing, Lord. Open up their minds to good things. We ask in no other name but Jesus. Amen. Can you remain silent? Okay.
I'm sorry. I want to thank the Pathfinders. What do you say? Amen. I know it's I want to thank Brother Charger because he brought it home. To Sister Rupert, I'm not sure if she's able to be with us today, but I do know that many of you are Pathfinders that are sitting out there. And if you are a Pathfinder for life, would you stand with us, please? Would you stand with us? Because I believe that this is significant. Come out to the Pathfinders. You need to stand to your feet because I believe that if we're going to see the youth in the kingdom of heaven, we need to sacrifice more. Amen? Yeah. We're going to have to sacrifice our time for the youth. These people right here, each one of them, every day, are under attack. Is anyone listening to me? The Pathfinders have been under attack. I want you to understand that we have at least 5 to 7 more Pathfinders that should be standing with us. There is one that is under attack with the flu, that has been under attack all week long. We've been praying. I've been pouring. I want you to understand the sacrifices that we make today will be lasting. Amen. It will be a star on your crown for that young person that was able to come out to Pathfinders. There are at least 5 others under attack. I believe strongly that they wanted to be here today, but they don't drive. Is anyone listening to me? They don't drive. They cannot drive. There's someone in their district that can drive, that has transportation. Brother Charter brought the fact that we are many times not aware because we're many times thinking about self. I'm pointing at me. I live in Visalia. I don't live down the street. I wish I did because I would rent a bus and come around and pick up as many youth as I can. I live in Visalia, and if that's the sacrifice that we have to do, then that's something that we should pray about as a church. There's someone in your district, there's kids on your street that you know that are wandering around aimlessly without the hope of eternal life. We're so busy attacking each other at church when people in our own neighborhoods need Jesus. Yeah. Worried about positions. What good is our position if we do not have stars on our crown? These young people need Jesus, and they're in your neighborhoods. They're in your homes. They need transportation. We are pleading with you. These are the last days. You've seen just recently a gun shooting in a school. We pray daily. We pour out our hearts for our kids. We never know if they're going to come back. So what we do today is lasting. It is my prayer that you will take our message here today seriously. Brother Charter spent a lot of time just praying and agonizing over this message. I let him do it because I'm a mess. I'm just a mess. I want you to understand that we have been crying to the Lord, praying for these young people who have sacrificed their time. 5 to 7 others who are not here that probably want to be today. So today, if you have a kid, we are pleading with you. Those of you who have already gone through Pathfinders, just know that you're a Pathfinder for life. It's not just those 2 years or those 3 years that you come to Pathfinders. It is our responsibility to make sure that the younger generation has the opportunity to come through Pathfinders and to go through every single honor. We just don't come through for 2 or 3 years. We come through for life. In Oshkosh, they had hangars larger than this church. I want you to understand, larger than this church. Packed with people all over the world doing these honors. This is only tip of the iceberg. That a good number of these I got from Oshkosh. When I go again, I'll try to double this. I want you to understand that a plane ticket for one of your children would be over $1,500. A plane ticket and also living expenses. To be able to go to Wisconsin, to spend time and to camp out with probably more than 52,000 this time. They're looking at least 60 to 70,000 camperees or campers. But yet we said, too long we've sat and waited for things which do not come. Too long we have expected our battles to be won, yet without ever lifting a finger or the name of Jesus Christ in our own neighborhood. But the time is now. If it is your desire to make that sacrifice for the Pathfinders, to see that they have the opportunity to travel and to experience kids and adults as old as 90-some years old who are Pathfinders. Did you say 100?
95.
95.
She was dressed in uniform.
All around the world. If it is your desire to see that there are more Pathfinders, faithful Pathfinders all across this building and all behind the stage and all around this building, if it is your desire, would you stand with us today? Would you stand with us? Because this is flowing over into what we're calling our offering appeal. Some of you don't know that it's called Forever Faithful. That's the camporee, Forever Faithful. And so faithfulness means for life. Not just for today, not just for 2 years, but for life. And so we are praying that if you would like to sponsor some of these young people that are coming through the Pathfinders that are here. We know Jaden had to go with his mother, so he is not here. You know that these young people are under attack every day at their schools. Every day, these young people. We know that you are also. But if it is your desire to sponsor one of these Pathfinders that are coming through here, we're asking you that if you can write a check or to just make out a check to Forever Faithful Camporee or to the Pathfinders of the Fresno West Side Seventh-day Adventist Church, sponsoring them to go in 2019. We want you to pray about that. And so we want to ask the deacons to prepare at this time. I wanted to give the mic to Sister Doyle, who has faithfully come out to our meetings. We want her to share.
I think Brother Isaac has pretty much summed it up. Would the deacons please come forward so that we can receive this morning's tithes and offerings, please? Would you also assist in collecting the tithes and offerings?